Zac has been in an interesting state in Season 2021, with tank jungles typically finding themselves on the wayside for their more damage-heavy counterparts.
Opportunity, and the slower DRX play this, the smarter they are, as Bao is going to be tagged by that Q. Spear just popped. What the hell was that?
With a minuscule pick rate of around only 3.6 and an even lower ban rate of only 0.7%, it's clear to see that the majority of League players don't see Zac as a viable pick this season. But you know what they say, one person's trash blob is another person's treasure. Our Zac player today is named Vatoxi on the Australian server, and this season he has hit Master Tier by taking Zac out of the jungle and bringing him to both mid and support. And although mid Zac can be a whole video on its own, today we'll be focusing on Vatoxi playing Zac Support, as he has over 200 games on it this season alone. Vatoxi started playing ranked in Season 5, just barely playing and only making it to Silver 5, playing a slew of different champions to really just play the game for fun. Crazy. Season 9 hit, and he began to take solo queue a lot more seriously, playing a smattering of bot lane games as both support and AD carry, but mostly playing support and finding his love for off-meta supports in Singed, finishing the season Plat 3 and with a 60% win rate overall on the champion. When Season 2020 rolled around, Vatoxi continued to try to play off-meta supports, and eventually something special hit when he tried out Zac. He continued to play mostly Zac and Singed throughout the season with a combined 55% win rate to climb his way all the way to Plat 1. Now that Season 2021 has started, Vatoxi once again started the season attempting to play both Singed and Zac Support. But with the new items, he found Singed struggled as a support at the start and has since transitioned completely into a Zac one-trick pony, with over 250 games on the champion and a 60% win rate to push himself all the way into Master Tier, where he continues to climb now. If you think about Zac, he has some glaring weaknesses when it comes to support. Using your E in the middle of the lane heavily telegraphs when you're planning to make a move. You have low ability to really harass the enemy at all, and losing a lot of gold from supporting can hinder your ability to have enough money to be tanky enough to engage without dying every time. All of these are true, but Vatoxi has found a way to play around these weaknesses and find success. In lane at level 1, he will pick Q first, regularly harassing the enemy AD carry or support by attaching the first half to them and a minion. If he's lucky, and both enemies step towards him, he's able to stun both laners at the same time, setting his AD carry up for some easy damage and trade ability. Level 2, he'll level up his E ability, immediately setting him up for his early game combo. If Vatoxi is able to land a Q on an enemy and then stun them, he'll immediately follow up while they're stunned with an E. This does some solid damage while also locking up the enemy for at least 2 seconds. This combo can also be applied to both champions if he lands his Q on both of them, locking up the whole bot lane for, again, around 2 seconds. At level 3, he levels up his W for more damage and starts to look for plays around vision. Just like a jungle Zac, his E is most effective if the enemy doesn't see it coming, so he'll pretend to back, hide in the river brush, or hide behind a wall and start charging it in hopes of getting a pick. The aforementioned cycle continues until he hits level 6, when he becomes a CC monster with his ultimate. He looks to both start fights with the enemies or peel for his teammates just long enough to allow them to put out enough damage without any real threat. He diverts so much attention and panic towards him that while the other team is worrying about this big blob bouncing around in their face trying to get him off, his carries have an easy time eliminating them. Mid-game, and even early game under the right circumstances, as Zac Support, Vatoxi wants to look for roams around the map and continue to be a huge asset to his team with CC. He in essence can still function somewhat like a tank jungler, locking up unsuspecting laners with his massive CC and allowing them to grab the kill and push their lanes into a win. Vatoxi, like he does all game, will try to use his E to jump from Fog of War and catch unsuspecting enemies off guard with his large amounts of CC. When his passive is active, he regularly tries to draw as much aggression as he can from the enemy team, stepping directly in the middle of them to try to get off as much damage as possible and also pull attention away from the carries of his team. If the enemy takes the bait and focuses him first, his team regularly has enough time to dish out enough damage to win the team fight and let him respawn, effectively giving no gold to the enemy. When Vatoxi team fights as Zac, he is fitting one of two roles. He's either jumping in and starting the fight, being sure to land all of his CC on major targets of the team fight, whether that be a squishy jungler, AD carry, or mid lane. This will effectively keep them out of the fight long enough to be useless or dead from the follow-up from his own team. If the enemy team is diving onto his team's high priority targets, he will instead do his best to peel them off of his carries, again using all of his CC abilities, typically keeping them alive long enough to give them the ability to turn the fight around. Some quick Zac tips I picked up while watching Vatoxi and analyzing his games. First of all, Vatoxi is a master of the champion, and he knows that anything that you can auto-attack with Zac can be used as the second half of his Q. Whether that be a minion, a ward, or even a jungle plant, he always tries to make sure he has something to auto-attack to make sure he can land that second half. Also, deep warding is almost more important on Zac than any other support, and that's because, again, he has his long-range E for engaging. Vatoxi makes sure to clear out key spots where he will use his E ability and make sure to ward high traffic areas that he knows the enemy team will be traveling through their jungle. Also, level 1, he picks up a sweeper trinket instead of picking up a warding trinket. This is to clear out these key spots early in the game before he has money for pink wards. Vatoxi uses his passive on Zac to allow him to survive long fights as well as keep him topped off in lane as much as possible. Even going and taking, or at least attacking Scuttle with abilities to grab some free health in the early game. For his build, he starts every game with a Relic Shield, as there is really no reason to start any other support item on Zac. He also almost always starts a Sweeper Trinket to allow him to spot out wards from where he wants to use his E from. From there, he'll start to rush his Locket of Iron Solari, prioritizing health items first to both do more damage with his abilities and also heal more from his passive. From there, he'll finish his level 2 boots after getting level 1 boots from his runes, almost always building Merc Treads for the additional tenacity, or sometimes building Ninja Tabbies against an AD heavy team. Next, he might build an early Bramble Vest into Thornmail, noting that Thornmail specifically does apply grievous wounds to an enemy if you hard CC them in any way. Or, if the enemy team is not overloaded with healing, he'll build right into a Knight's Vow and attach it to his carry for additional healing when dueling with the enemy team. If the enemy team is very magic heavy, he will more than likely build a Spirit Visage. If the game goes long, he'll eventually pick up an Elixir of Iron. And for his 6th item, and throughout the whole game as a good support does, he's buying pink wards as much as possible to win the Vision game. For his runes, he takes Aftershock for reduced damage after engaging, Font of Life for more health, Bone Plating because it's just the best rune, and Revitalize to boost his passive healing. He brings Approach Velocity for additional movement speed when he lands a Q or his team applies CC, and Magical Footwear to save some money in his build. For his flex runes, he brings Ability Haste, 1 Adaptive Force for some more AP and damage, and Armor or Magic Resist depending on his lane opponent. And that's really it, y'all. I had a really good time analyzing this Zac game, really learning a little bit more about the character myself. Of course, if you're watching this on YouTube, I would love for you to leave a comment below on how you like the new format and potentially who or what you would like to see next. And also, I would love for you to stop in on my streams. I stream every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and I even cast some games on Sunday morning if you're available then as well. So go ahead and check out the description below for some more information and all my links. And I hope you guys have a great day or night or whatever it is for you. Peace.